Hey you guys, Martin Ostad here with another video. Yesterday I went to Platekompaniet here in Oslo to get a couple of records that were released yesterday. And I had actually been saving up on some gift cards for these particular releases. So one of them was Swedish, which is the new album by Robin, and the other one is Norwegian, and it's an album which isn't, a studio album in the traditional sense, I suppose. But let's get back to that. This new release that I picked up yesterday, or bought, is by the Norwegian techno duo, I guess you could call it, Röyksopp. And Röyksopp is one of those, bands or groups or artists in Norway when I who are not a very good Norwegian let's say follower of Norwegian music. I do try and introduce myself and in the extension the vinyl community for some Norwegian music, but when you have so many international artists that you're a fan of, they do take up a lot of space, and they it makes it harder for me to try and spend the money that I do spend on music on things that might be a little bit unknown to me. And I suppose growing up I had a little bit of a prejudice as well. I've always been a very, very Anglophile. And it also shows in the relatively small amount of Danish music I have in my collection. Of course, let's not talk too loudly about the fact that there is significantly more Swedish music in my record collection. But Sweden is the big player in Scandinavia and internationally of the Scandinavian countries when it comes to music. So in the late 80s, I think it was, a couple of kids up there in Tromsø, which is the Paris of the North, as some people call it, is a big student city up there far north in Norway, well north of the Arctic Circle. Couple of kids, I think they were 12 and 13 year old when they became friends, was I think it was a mutual friend who introduced them. Svein Berge and Torbjørn Brundtland became friends, and they would they had a common liking of various music, electronic music, and they would work together and experiment and so on for the next years and into the 90s. There was an electronic scene, as it were, up in Tromsø, and some artists who have become famous, some of them probably more so abroad than here, because a lot of that scene, with these artists who are standing there and doing these sets. I think Jason would probably know what to call them, are probably bigger abroad than in Norway itself. And I think they also, if I understand it correctly, they relocated maybe to Bergen, who gradually took over as the scene for that kind of music in Norway. Anyway, after some other projects and names, they call themselves Röyksopp, I think in 1998, which, by the way, is Röyksopp is smoke mushroom, which is named after a sort of a puff mushroom that we have here in Norway. It's bulbous, and when a drop of water or something falls on it, it sort of sends out a cloud of spores. And their debut, which came in 2001, so yeah, 25 years ago. I remember I bought, probably because I saw the name, and I'm not sure I had heard them yet. I was with some friends in Peterborough in the UK, so it was bought at an HMV, I think there, or maybe in Kettering, and it was their wonderful debut, Melody AM. There you are. One that I wanted on vinyl for a long time, but it tends to cost around $80 each time it's released on vinyl, and disappear before I get around to it. So yeah, $12.99 at HMV. Does it say which HMV? No, I don't think so. Anyway, wonderful. I guess the first song I heard, or people heard, was Eple, which is Norwegian for apple. And yeah, this is just a masterpiece. And they followed up with, of course, with The Understanding. To some extent more of the same, but I think, and they collaborate with a lot of great female singers. And one of which I will return to in a second. And then they released Junior, and a more solemn Senior. You see, that's very hard to see them there, but they're in the cover there. The EP, I suppose you could call it, called Do It Again, is just, again, a masterpiece. And this was a collaboration with one of the singers they do use in their music from time to time, which is Robin. And this is Do It Again. Again, an amazing record. And then they said that this was going to be their final album edition in the traditional sense. So I guess they sort of went the way that, I think, wasn't it Ash also who decided we were only going to be releasing singles, but then of course Ash then went out and released a single each month and then continued to release albums. But this is The Inevitable End by Röyksopp. And in the end, it wasn't the end, because they released The Lost Tapes, which was the first record by them that I got on vinyl. And then they released Profound Mysteries 1, and then 2, and then 3. And finally, they put these all together in this beautiful box set. With each of these being a full album in of itself. And yeah, an amazing project. And then for my birthday last year, I bought the release they did in 2025, last year, which came out in April of that year, called True Electric, which is considered the 10th studio album by them. It's a compilation of dance remixes of Röyksopp's earlier tracks, which are studio versions of tracks performed during their True Electric tour. So that one was quite a special record, and I bought that on vinyl. Again, it had a very limited amount coming out, and then I think it was the year before they released Nebulous Nights and Ambient Excursion into Profound Mysteries. A little unsure about its release and how. If this was this? Yeah. So it well. Anyway. Some of the releases are a little bit confusing sometimes, but anyway, that's what has now been I don't know if it's been re-released or released on vinyl for the first time, so 2 years later, and that's what I picked up yesterday. So here we have Röyksopp, Nebulous Nights, an Ambient Excursion into Profound Mysteries on vinyl. So there you are, and quick word about some of the again, Susanne Sundfør, which who they've worked with a lot of times, and Astrid S, another artist they worked with. Pix, Pix, I don't know that artist, and Alison Goldfrapp as well is on this. And yeah, I need to get this out and show you so I can listen to this. I've had this for a day without listening to it. And there is the hype sticker for this. Hype sticker or information. And here we are. There's the guys. Couple of Tromsøværinger, which is what Norwegian for two people from Tromsø. And the vinyl. Oop. Here we go, guys. So atmospheric beats. I'm awestruck by them, and here we are. So yeah, I just wanted to share this with you guys, and hopefully we'll give you an idea of what to listen to next. The vinyl community, a lot of us are, of course, old farts like myself, and but musically, a lot of us are very sort of, we'll devour all kinds of music. But I do find that this kind of music may not get as much attention as I would have liked, because I want to be inspired by the vinyl community, and end up spending more money on music. But I guess Jason maybe and Brian, the Embryonic Robot, would be fans of this type of music. So I'll do a shout out to them for this. And yeah, guys, check out Röyksopp. I don't know how readily available this record in particular. It is numbered, but I don't know out of how many. It said it was a fairly limited pressing. This is number 3526, but again, I don't know the number of these that are pressed. So anyway, guys, please click like. That helps my channel. If you want to subscribe, well, that makes me happy. And another thing that makes me happy are comments. So hope to see you guys soon in another video. Take care. Bye bye.